Hi, I'm Tim Bishop from Bonallack & Bishop, and I'd like to have a few words with you about the 5 essential documents you need for your business. It always amazes me how few businesses actually get the most basic documents in place. And what are they? Well, I think there are 5 of them. Firstly, it's a will, a personal will. Secondly, a lasting power of attorney. Thirdly, it's up-to-date simple terms and conditions. And fourthly and fifthly, depending on your status of your business, it's either a shareholders agreement if you're a company, or if you're a partnership, it's a written partnership agreement. Absolutely. Failing to make an up-to-date will can create a serious risk to your family and your business partners. For example, you'll need to ensure that your business continues to run after you die, that your business interests are inherited within or without the family as you would wish, that your will maximises potentially significant tax savings, that a properly drafted will prevents potentially highly divisive and expensive claims on your estate, which can even involve claims against your share of the business, and lastly, that there's adequate succession planning for directors. It's really not good enough to have your will drafted just once and for all. There's a huge difference perhaps between being a 25-year-old setting up your first business when you're single, to when you're 55, perhaps you're a managing director of a successful company with, say, 55 employees and a number of locations, with children, on a second marriage, stepchildren and grandchildren. You wouldn't expect to leave your health without being checked at that age, and you certainly wouldn't expect to leave your financial situation without being checked. Why should you leave your will unchecked? You really need to look at your will regularly to see if it adequately covers your circumstances, and we recommend that every business owner should do so every 5 years. Well, if you become incapacitated, unless you take adequate steps and you get a lasting power of attorney in place, your business could be in real trouble. No one really could deal with those day-to-day issues that need running, and if you're not careful, by the time you actually apply to the Court of Protection to get those things sorted, your business could be in serious financial trouble. The answer is very simple. It's a lasting power of attorney, a simple document that you only need to complete once. Every business owner really needs one. Of all the documents every business needs, I think simple, clear terms and conditions are the absolute essential ones. If you haven't got that right, you could be in all sorts of trouble. It can make a significant difference to your cash flow. It's a simpler step any business should take. It's simply a no-brainer. Make sure you've got good terms and conditions. They're simple, they're clear, and they're updated regularly. Your company doesn't legally need a shareholders agreement, but unless you've got one, really you could be in quite a difficult situation. You really don't want someone else deciding how you run your company. It can become particularly important, for example, if you have a business bust-up or a shareholder dispute, in which case having your own properly drafted shareholders agreements can make a world of difference. Again, a shareholders agreement is a simple and relatively cheap document and can save enormous cost in the long run. Every business, if you're not a company, is in a partnership if you're working with someone else, and therefore you do have a partnership agreement even though you may not realise it. It's governed by the Partnership Act. But the problem is that means someone else is deciding how you run your business. So any sensible partnership makes sure they have their own written partnership agreement that covers their own circumstances and reflects their own wishes. Again, it's a simple and relatively inexpensive document, and every partnership really should have one. They particularly are important in case of any partnership dispute, when having that partnership agreement can make all the difference between a difficult and uncomfortable and expensive battle and a relatively simple exit. My advice to any business is to have a good look at your business and make sure you've got these 4 or 5 simple documents in place. The will, the lasting power of attorney, the simple terms and conditions, and depending on your circumstances, either a shareholders agreement or a written partnership agreement. So to sum up, I would take my grandma's advice. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. She was absolutely right.